When you're a child, being home alone feels like freedom at first. No rules, no voices telling you to lower the volume, no footsteps behind you reminding you that you're being watched. But that freedom doesn't last long, because houses sound different when you're a kid and you're alone. Every creak feels intentional, every shadow feels closer, and your imagination doesn't need much help filling in the gaps. These are 4 true stories from people who were children at the time, old enough to remember every detail, too young to understand what was really happening, and all of them say the same thing now. They were never really alone. The first story comes from a man who was 9 years old, living in a quiet suburban neighborhood. His parents both worked late on Thursdays, so for 2 hours after school, he stayed home by himself. He knew the rules by heart. Lock the door, don't answer the phone, don't open the windows. He followed them every time. One afternoon, while watching cartoons, he heard the front door handle jiggle. Once, then again. He froze. He knew his parents' schedules. They never came home early, and the sound wasn't aggressive, just slow, deliberate testing. He muted the TV, the handle stopped. He waited, heart racing, listening for footsteps on the porch. Then the doorbell rang. He didn't move. It rang again. Still nothing. Then a voice spoke through the door. "I know you're in there." It wasn't loud. It wasn't angry. It sounded almost bored. The boy slid off the couch and crawled into the hallway closet, closing the door quietly behind him. From there, he listened as footsteps moved around the house. Slow steps across gravel, then wood, then concrete. The back door handle rattled, then the side door. Whoever it was didn't break in. They just kept checking. After what felt like forever, the footsteps faded. When his parents came home, the doors were locked. Nothing was missing. But written in the dust on the back window was one word, traced with a finger. Next. The second story happened in a small apartment building in South Korea. A girl, 8 years old, was left home alone while her mother ran errands. She was told to bolt the door and not move. She sat on the floor, coloring when she heard the elevator stop on her floor. Footsteps came down the hallway. Stopped. Then someone knocked. She didn't answer. The knock came again, followed by a woman's voice. "Sweetie, I forgot my phone. Can you open the door?" It sounded kind, familiar, almost like her aunt. The girl stood up, heart pounding, and walked toward the door. Then she noticed something strange. The voice was coming from too low, as if the person was crouching. She backed away slowly. The voice changed. "Open the door." No warmth now, just flat. The handle began to turn. She ran into the bathroom and locked herself inside. For several minutes, she heard fingernails scratching at the door, followed by soft laughing. When her mother returned, the hallway was empty, but security footage later showed a woman standing outside their door for nearly 20 minutes. She never knocked on any other apartment. The third story comes from rural Australia. A boy named Ethan, 10 years old, lived on a farm miles from the nearest neighbor. Being home alone wasn't unusual. Isolation was normal. One afternoon, he heard a knock on the kitchen door. He expected it to be his father. Instead, when he looked through the window, he saw a man standing just out of view. Only part of his shoulder showed. Ethan called out. No response. The knock came again. Slow, heavy. Ethan backed away. The man spoke. Your dad told me to wait inside. Ethan knew instantly that wasn't true. He ran to his room and hid under the bed, clutching his phone, too scared to dial. For nearly an hour, the man walked around the house, trying doors, tapping on windows, humming softly. Then silence. Later that night, police found footprints around the property, barefoot, despite the sharp gravel. They led into the woods and stopped. The final story is from the United States, early 2000s. A girl, 11 years old, was home alone after school. She was on the phone with her best friend when she heard movement upstairs. She laughed it off at first. Old house, normal noises. Then the footsteps started moving. Slow, careful. She whispered into the phone that someone was upstairs. Her friend told her to leave. As she stood up, the footsteps stopped. A man's voice called down from the top of the stairs. "I can hear you." She dropped the phone and ran outside barefoot, screaming. Police searched the house. No one was found, but a window in the guest bedroom had been unlocked from the inside. Years later, investigators confirmed something that still chills her. The man had entered while she was already home. All four of these people grew up. They moved on. They forgot parts of their childhood, but none of them ever forgot the sound of their house when they were alone. Because as adults, they understand something they didn't as kids. Being home alone isn't scary because of what might happen. It's scary because sometimes something already has.